Look, we want to make a movie.
Paramount is going to come crashing down. We need hits.
I got no cast, no Pacino, Brando.
He's a nutcase.
Can one thing go right with this picture?
This movie makes my people look like animals, and that ain't gonna happen.
I'm not running.
I need you to produce The Godfather.
We need hits.
Can one thing go right with this picture?
Cut it!
It's The Last Stand. And here is your host, Brian Custer.
That's right. It is The Last Stand, and we bring you the biggest names in the sport. I'm Brian Custer, and joining me today is a man who's a two-time Olympian. He was the former featherweight champion of the world. He's now the WBC junior lightweight champion of the world. He is Oscar Valdez. Oscar, welcome to The Last Stand, my man.
How's it going, Brian? I'm pretty excited for this right now.
Absolutely. It's great to talk to you. I've been waiting to do this for a while. And look, you got a big one. You got a unification fight against the WBO champion, Shakur Stevenson. And it's not only big because of the unification fight, but the winner also becomes the lineal champion as well, because the Ring Magazine belt is on the line, and it's been vacant since 2008. That was the last time someone's had it. That was the great Manny Pacquiao. I guess the question is, what would it mean to you to win this fight and become the unified and the lineal champion of the world?
To be honest, it means the world to me. It means the world to me for several reasons. Number one, Shakur Stevenson is a fighter who's been mentioning my name for quite some time already. Since back in 2019, he mentioned my name when I was a featherweight. That's when we had to move up a division. And, he's been, calling me out and saying that we've been afraid of him, saying that we've been avoiding him, calling me a duck. And none of that's been true. So it got to a point where, promoters were trying to give me another fight, and I said, you know what? I don't want no other fights if it's not Shakur Stevenson. So that's the main thing. The other thing is, I worked so hard to become a WBC world champion. I worked extremely hard, and I don't plan on leaving it anytime soon. I want to defend my title. That's another thing. And the other thing would be to to become an undisputed world champion, to win the WBO and become an undisputed. Well, it means the world to me. So there's several reasons why this fight literally means the world to me. I'm just very excited and anxious to step in the ring April 30th and really give my best.
That's fantastic. Shakur said that this fight is going to turn him into a superstar. He said, quote, "A lot of people don't really understand how good I am yet until I beat up Oscar Valdez." What about you?
Well, it's the same thing for me. Same thing for me, because this is the type of fight that people are not used to seeing. People are used to seeing fighters. If they go up against me, they go toe to toe. They like to see a war with me. But this is a different type of fight. This was, instead of becoming a war, it's going to become a chess game with a guy like Shakur Stevenson. So I got to be very focused. And by me beating Shakur, will demonstrate that we also know how to box, and we're not just the type of fighter that just goes in there and tries to brawl. So, yeah, definitely when the competition is higher, I rise with the competition, and definitely this is a fight that will show my full potential.
I was looking at the Vegas odds, and you are at nearly 5-1 underdog. Are you being disrespected going into this fight?
Not at all. Not at all. I use that as motivation. It's not the first time. It probably won't be the last time that I'm the underdog. But that definitely motivates me. That definitely motivates me, brings motivation in the gym to train and work harder. It just brings me fuel. So I'm definitely going to be excited for this fight.
Stevenson also said, quote, "I'm bigger, I'm faster, but I'm not trying to get into a slugfest with Valdez. I'm going to hit him and not get hit, and then I'm going to mentally drain him." I guess the question is, can you win a boxing match in a technical fight with Shakur Stevenson?
Yes, and I don't expect Shakur to do that. We know Shakur is not the type of fighter who's gonna risk inside the ring. He's a defensive fighter who likes to use his range, his distance, and I'm not expecting him to stay in the ring. So we're definitely work for all options inside the ring. If he wants to box, if he wants to maybe run around, if he wants to do different things, we're going to be ready for whatever. So, I've been tested. I've been tested before. I fought with an injured rib, broken hand, broken jaw. I've been sent to the canvas. But every time I step in the ring, I just give it my best. I give it my best. I give it my 100%. I leave my blood, sweat, my guts, everything, my heart inside the ring. And every time I come out victorious. So I don't expect any less for this fight.
Last summer, you fought Robinson Conceição, and then you tested positive for a banned stimulant before that fight. Tell me what happened there.
Yeah, it was 2021 was a great learning experience for me because it started out very high, then out of nowhere, I went extremely low. I felt like I was at my lowest due to that positive substance that came out positive. We truly don't know exactly where it comes. We send everything to a lab. Well, we have our doubts if it was a contaminated product or was it herbal tea that we were taking, because that was literally the different things that we were taking as far as any other camp. And it came out positive. I couldn't believe it. It was something that came out of nowhere. I thought there had to be some type of mistake because we've always been clean fighters. But as soon as we know what it was a stimulant, it was more of a diuretic, I said, it shouldn't be no big deal. But on the contrary, it became a big deal because people started seeing the positive and they immediately assume that it's a PED. They immediately assume it's a performance-enhancing drug. The substance that I came positive doesn't help you in any form of way of just hitting harder, being faster. It doesn't help you in those type of ways that will actually be considered cheating in the sport. So being accused of that substance, it really brought me down. And it hurt. It really hurt because we've always been clean fighters, and the fact that everybody was pointing fingers, I took it too serious to what people thought of me, and that just brought me down. And I wasn't fully concentrated on the main object, which is just to go in there and give my best like I always do.
The reason why I ask is because Stevenson said, and he told you basically in your face, he said, quote, "You better not cheat me in this fight." What's your response to that?
Well, my response to that, it's funny you mentioned that because they cut that interview. When he said that, he said, better not be cheating. Well, I answered back to him. I told him, well, you know what? You better not be hitting women, because that's what I heard. He was hitting women in the street. So I said, we got a deal. I won't never cheat. Don't worry about me. I'm not a cheater. Worry about yourself not hitting women, because if you're hitting another woman, you might go to jail and the fight might be canceled. So that was my response to him. It's like, I respect you, you respect me, I respect you. And if he wants to throw low blows, well, I'll throw low blows at him as well, because I'm clearly not a cheater. I've never cheated in my life, but what has he done? It's clear as day. So they cut that on that interview, which is, I thought it was pretty unfair.
You told the media, quote, "I think I can make him quit in this fight." Tell me why.
Because of my heart. I love the sport. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. I train very, very hard for each and every fight, and losing is not an option for me. So every time I step in the ring, I'm gonna give my 100%. And like I said before, I've been tested. We don't know if Shakur Stevenson has been tested. It's most likely he hasn't, because he's the type of fighter who is very defensive. He's a fighter who doesn't like to take risks. But we've been training very hard to make him and force him to stay in there or to have him no options but to be in a war.
Is there a rematch clause for this fight?
There's no rematch clause. It's all or nothing for this fight.
Wow. You train with Canelo, Eddie Reynoso. What has that done for you as a fighter, and let's say specifically for this fight?
It's helped a lot, being trained by Eddie Reynoso. It's been quite a journey. It's, a very great learning experience being by the hands of Eddie Reynoso, and besides training with Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing right now. He's a fighter who's been, he's fought the best. He's fought the best already. He has way more experience than all of us. So there's obviously he knows a thing or two more than us. He has way more experience. So there'll be times where we're training or we're sparring, and he cuts the sparring sessions. He steps in the ring sometimes with me and tries to teach me different things of what to do in tough positions in a fight. So it's definitely learned a lot over the course of the years with Eddie Reynoso and also Canelo Alvarez. And also it's a great gym where we have everybody. We have fighters like Andy Ruiz. You got fighters like Joselito Velazquez and Rey Martinez, and obviously you got Canelo. And there's always something you can learn from each and other fighters.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Brian Custer, and our new podcast partner is Athletic Greens. I started taking Athletic Greens because I wanted more energy, and I gotta say, I really love it. Athletic Greens, it doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It has that really mild kind of tropical taste, and I'm telling you, you're gonna like it. So what is Athletic Greens? But I'm gonna tell you, one delicious scoop of AG1 and you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. And it contains less than 1 gram of sugar. There are no GMOs and no nasty chemicals or artificial anything at all, while still tasting good. And it supports better sleep quality, recovery time, and also supports your mental clarity and alertness. AG1 is a small micro habit of big benefits, and it's the one thing you can do every single day to take care of yourself. And it's lifestyle friendly. So whether you eat keto, paleo, you're vegan, you're dairy free, or gluten free, and it costs you less than $3 a day. And additionally, for every purchase, AG1 is donating to organizations to help get nutritious foods to kids in need. In fact, No Kid Hungry here in the U.S., well, in 2020, Athletic Greens donated $1.2 million to kids. Now, look, we're going to make this thing simple because Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you've got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/laststand. Again, athleticgreens.com/laststand. Take ownership of your health and get yourself Athletic Greens. Canelo, in his training for the Bivol fight, said, talking about you, Oscar, he said, Oscar just needs to focus on winning and not putting on a show. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, exactly what he means, because he knows that I love giving the fans what they want. The reason why I fight this way, the reason why I fight, trying to go in there and bang with the fighters, because I love hearing the fans cheer. I grew up watching fighters like Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. I watched Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, versus Pacquiao, and those fights inspired me to be the fighter that I am. I've always dreamed of being a fighter like them. So in a way, I always try to kind of imitate them to impress the young version of myself. And to do that, you got to give great fights. And to do that, you got to go in there and put up a good fight. So I always try to please the fans, which that might be my biggest mistake, because, I got my jaw broken, I've had my hand injured and my rib, and I've been sent to the canvas through mistakes of pleasing the fans. But that's one thing that Canelo said for the advice, and it's completely true for this fight. Maybe for this fight, because this fight is, like I said before, it's not going to be a war, not because I don't want it. It's not going to be a war because of the fighter of Shakur Stevenson is a technical fighter. He's a way more defensive fighter. So it won't be able to be a war. I would consider it, like I said before, more of a chess game.
You get your arm raised in this fight. What does the boxing media and the boxing public need to be saying about Oscar Valdez?
To be honest, that I'm just the world champion, 130 pounds. That's all I ask. That's all I ask, because I can't control what they say. There might be some reporters who like me. There might be some reporters who don't like me. I can't control that. I just want to win and go back to my family, that's the most important thing for me.
Let's talk about some fights too, the big fights that are going on just like yours. One of them happening next month, and Rolly Romero taking on Tank Davis. What do you think is going to happen in that fight?
You know, I think it's a great fight. You know, like I think they don't give Rolly a lot of chances. I think Rolly is a underrated fighter. You know, I think he's tougher than what people think. But Gervonta has been looking very well his last fights. You know, I think Gervonta is going to take this fight.
Errol Spence Jr. now has 3 of the welterweight belts. You know, Bud Crawford has that other one. They finally have talked about getting this fight on at the end of the year. What do you think happens in that fight?
Spence looked very well his last fight. I was very impressed by his performance his last couple of fights. Even though he had that car injury, he's still looking phenomenal inside the ring. But I don't see nobody bringing Terence Crawford in that division. You know, if I were to pick, I'm picking Terence Crawford to win that fight.
Now listen, you train with Canelo. I think everybody in the world wants to see him fight either David Benavidez or Jamal Charlo. Which one of those guys would you like to see him fight?
To be quite honest, you know, I think the fighter that he has in front of him right here is a very tough fighter. People misjudge, I think, or underrate the fighter that he's going up against. Bivol is a tough fighter in a different division. You know, we forget that those 10-ounce gloves can make a big difference in that weight class. And you know, if everything goes well with this fight, you know, I would love to see instead of Charlo and Benavidez, I would choose Benavidez due to his height and everything. I think Benavidez will put up a better fight than the Charlo.
All right. For everybody who comes on the show, Oscar, we let people submit questions through social media. Man, we got so many of them for you. I had to just pick a few of them because we got so many of them for you. So let's start on Twitter. It says here, Lewis asks, if you win Saturday, are you trying to be the next undisputed Mexican champ in your respective division?
Yes, 100%. It's not something that I'm actually thinking about right now because I'm very focused on the object, just to win. But I would love to be a undisputed world champion. You know, that's one of my dream goals, and you know, it looks awesome when someone like Tyson Fury, like Josh Taylor, like Canelo Alvarez has all the belts, and you know, it would be definitely a dream come true, and that's why we work hard. We work very hard to continue growing as fighters, as persons, and just try to go to the main top.
Vivi from Twitter asks, is there a fear that Shakur will just stay on the outside all night and not let you engage? How do you counter that?
There's no fear. You know, but fear is never there. You know, fighters might get sometimes nervous, but that's only natural. So right now we're very focused on our strategy. We work very hard for this fight. Like I said before, we know he's not gonna want to take risks inside the center of the ring. So he's gonna try to stay on the outside. So we're gonna have to just be ourselves, do exactly what we've been working on. So I think the fight, you know, it has to be it's gonna be a mental fight. We have to be very smart inside the ring.
Father of the Year on Twitter asks, would you rank yourself in the top 10 pound for pound list after defeating Shakur Stevenson?
I would like to believe so, but it's not up to me. It's not up to me. I think it's the top 10 pound for pound is due to criteria for everybody. Everybody has their own top 10 pound for pound, and it's a very tough list because there's a lot of great fighters out there. So if somebody out there wants to put me in the top 10 after winning this fight, well, you know, I will really appreciate it. But if not, there's no worry. That just means we got to continue working harder and winning more fights. So one day we'll be on that list.
El Bandera Roja from Twitter asks, are you prepared to step in the fire and try to walk Shakur down? Are you going to increase your punch output and not give Shakur time to think at all during the fight?
Well, we're definitely ready. We're definitely ready for whatever. You know, we know Shakur Stevenson is the type of fighter who likes to get on your head and likes to switch it up. So, you know, who knows? You know, Shakur Stevenson says he's not gonna stay in the center of the ring. He says he's not gonna risk. You know, he's gonna work on the outside. But what if he changes his mind? What if he has a strategy? What if he decides to step it up and stay in the center of the ring? So we got to be prepared for everything. You know, we got Plan A. Plan A is he decides to move, we're gonna be ready for that. If he decides to change it up, do a curveball on us, and stay inside the center of the ring, well, we're gonna be prepared for that too as well.
Jarrell asks, What can you do that no other fighter has been able to do to get the win on Saturday?
Well, I think my experience was what's gonna make me win this Saturday night. You know, I thought like Shakur says, I haven't fought a fighter like him. It was the same thing for him. I don't think he's fought a fighter like me who won't give up, who's gonna keep on giving his best effort to just come out victorious. You know, I'm just ready for whatever he brings to the table.
David asks, is this your toughest fight yet? And have you done anything different in training to prepare for Shakur's slick defense?
Definitely. I won't consider this fight to be my toughest fight to this day in my career. And for this fight, you know, we train hard for every fight. Physically, we always train hard. But for this training camp, we train physically and mentally. We're prepared to go all 12 rounds for this fight and come out victorious.
Okay, Oscar Valdez, we come to the last segment of this show. We call it The Last Stand. I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, champ. You give me the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready?
All right.
Honestly, did your knockout put it in to Miguel Berchel's career, you think?
No, I don't think it's an end to his career. I think he has a lot more he can prove. I think it's unfortunate that some fans might throw a boxer to the trash when they see someone losing. I think it's all in his mind. If he decides to beat his own demons, he could come back and become a world champion once again.
Will you knock out Shakur Stevenson?
You know, I never promise a knockout. I never promise a fight of a year. I never promise something great. But what I do promise to everybody is that I will always give my 100% inside the ring. I will leave my heart, my sweat, my tears, my best effort inside the ring for the fans, and that's what I will promise everybody.
Give me your top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world right now.
Right now, actual fighters.
The actual fighters.
Wow, so that's a tough one. So definitely got Canelo Alvarez, number 1. Number 2, Terence Crawford. Number 3, Tyson Fury. Now it gets more tougher. I will say Spence.
And one more.
Inoue.
Ah, there you go. I like it. That's a good time. That's a great 5, man. That is a great 5. In your opinion, who is the Mexican-born GOAT when it comes to boxing?
Julio Cesar Chavez, without a doubt.
Love it. Now, there's some who believe Canelo has eclipsed him. What do you think?
I think Canelo has the full potential to beat all the records of KOMBAT, and I think by the end of Canelo's career, it might get people mad, but I think he's gonna be considered better and bigger than the great Julio Cesar Chavez.
And last but not least, champ, by the end of the year, Oscar Valdez will be, you finish the statement,
undisputed world champion.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Hey, look, right now, he's the WBC junior lightweight champion of the world, looking to be unified, looking to be the lineal champ, and a big one against Shakur Stevenson. Champ, I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. I appreciate you taking the time and spending it with us on The Last Stand.
Anytime, you know it.
That's what we do here on The Last Stand. We bring you the biggest names in the sport, and right now at 130, Oscar Valdez is right there at the top. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
Look, we want to make a movie.
Paramount is going to come crashing down. We need hits.
I got no cast, no Pacino. Brando.
He's a nutcase.
Can one thing go right with this picture?
This movie makes my people look like animals, and that ain't gonna happen.
I'm not running.
I need you to produce a Godfather.
We need hits.
Can one thing go right with this picture?
Cut it!